Hello and welcome to this video guide about battle corruption. I've been researching this glitch extensively for the past 22 months, and the time has come to publicly disclose the fruits of my labor. In this video, I will cover the fundamentals of battle corruption, the prerequisites, how to use the Motor application which I had to develop in order to pull this glitch off, talk about some hardware differences, and then, if you're brave enough, we'll go on an adventure together into the deepest depth of illegal memory, cryptography, buffer overflows, and null pointer dereferences. Battle corruption can be performed safely and in its entirety on all releases of Pokémon Diamond and Pearl and on the English version of Pokémon Platinum. So, what is battle corruption exactly? Strictly speaking, it is the main consequence of initiating a battle with 6 Pokémon while none of them are able to fight, whether that's because they are all fainted or eggs. In order to get to this state, one would preferably use the Generation 4 variant of the PRAMA glitch, but it is also possible to do a specific void route involving partners that Retire came up with. Initiating a battle in this state will artificially create a 7th Pokémon in the player's party who's going to corrupt the wild Pokémon that is being encountered. This new corrupt Pokémon essentially has random data, which means it can be of any species, hold any item, know any move, and much more. However, the overwhelming majority of outcomes from this is either a freeze in the overworld, a freeze in the black loading screen of the battle, or a crash in battle. Basically, you have an approximate 1 in 4 million chance of catching an actual Pokémon without the game dying on you if you don't know what you're doing. And this is where Motor comes in. It's a program designed to find a game state for your particular save file for which you'll get favorable results, like a Manaphy with Judgment, for example. To perform this glitch, you will need several things. First, a static Pokémon to perform the glitch on. If you're playing on Diamond or Pearl, it could be either Giratina from Turnback Cave, Arceus from the Void, Shaymin from Flower Paradise accessed through the Void, Darkrai from New Moon Island, also accessed through the Void, Yuxi from Aquity Cavern after entering the Hall of Fame, Azelf from Valor Cavern after entering the Hall of Fame, Rotom in the Old Chateau between 8 PM and 4 AM after obtaining the National Dex, and Dialga or Palkia at Spear Pillar after fleeing or defeating them in the main story and entering the Hall of Fame. If you're playing on Platinum, it could be either Giratina Origin Form from the Distortion World, Giratina Altered Form from Turnback Cave if you fled or defeated Giratina Origin Form and entered the Hall of Fame, Dialga and Palkia from Spear Pillar after entering the Hall of Fame and having the Adamant or the Lustrous Orb, Yuxi from Aquity Cavern after entering the Hall of Fame, Azelf from Valor Cavern after entering the Hall of Fame, and Rotom from the Old Chateau between 8 PM and 4 AM. You will also need a Master Ball to catch the corrupt wild Pokémon, since you only get 1 turn in battle. Do note that for any given unique result from Motor, there's a 1 in 3 chance for your balls to act like a Master Ball because of the random HP and HP max values of the corrupt wild Pokémon. So unless you know for sure that your target has this characteristic, with a prior test on emulator for example, do not hope for it and get yourself a real Master Ball. Bring a Revive to use at the end of the battle on any of your Pokémon in order not to crash if you are traversing an area with encounters like the Old Chateau. I suggest also having a Pokémon with either Fly or Teleport to quickly go back to a Pokémon Center. For the RNG manipulation part, you will need the Coinflip Pocket app to check your seed, a Chatot with a Learn Saying via Chatter to advance the RNG, and a Pokémon with neither Synchronize nor Cute Charm as your party leader. And finally, you will need to perform the PRAMA glitch. This video explains the most optimal way to do it in Generation 4. Have 5 fainted Pokémon or eggs in your party, and perform the PRAMA glitch on the last Pokémon alive. Then reach your target and save in front of it. Okay, so first go to the GitHub page for Motor, go to Releases, and download the latest available version at the top of the page. So I'm going to get motor.exe. It's possible that Motor will be flagged as some sort of harmful program, or like it will be picked up by the antivirus, but just keep the download going. And once it's finished downloading, should take like a second or so, go to the folder and just launch the application. If this pops up, just click more info and run the program anyway. This will only pop up the first time you use the application. And now you're ready to go. So let me put this in full screen, and I'm going to go through the whole procedure with you. Do you want to use a saved profile? So we do not have a saved profile at the moment. So we enter 0 to say no. And even if you entered yes, this is what it tells you. Profile.txt was not found in the programs directory. Please create a new profile. So it's the same thing as if you just entered 0. Enter your game version. Let's say I'm playing on Diamond. Enter your language. Let's say I'm playing on a French version. Enter your TID and your SID. Now, if you don't know your SID, I have a technique available for new save files. If you want to start a new save file exclusively to do this glitch. Now let's just enter something random like this. Now, do you want to save those user settings in a new profile.txt file? I'm going to say yes. Okay, now what's your target? I chose Diamond, so these are the available options. And let's say I want to corrupt Shamin. And now for the not so fun part, the ASLR to use. So if you're playing in Japanese, you have 12 options available, 0 to 11. If you're playing on Korean, you have 0 to 4, so 5 options available. And if you're playing on any other version, which is English, French, Italian, German, or Spanish, you have the choice between 0 to 3 in terms of ASLR index. Let's say I want to use ASLR number 2. Do I want to search for a species? So this is a filter now. Let's say I only want Mew to show up in my results. I will enter 141, which is the index of Mew. But for this instance, I'll just say no. Do I want to filter for a specific item? So this is kind of the same thing. You enter the item ID if you want one, or 0 for no. If I want the corrupt wild Pokemon to have a specific move, same thing. Do you know the move ID? Like one is pound. Now Motor needs a starting seed to begin the search. Let's just put 0. Now, how many frames do I want the search to go for? You can enter anything between 0 and 232 frames. If you want to do a full search, you have to type 4 billion something. You can just type -1. I'll just enter what I usually enter to debug, which is 10 million frames. And press enter. Now, do I want more seed options per result? The RNG method J has duplicates in the PIDs that it generates, as opposed to method 1. And this is just if you want to see duplicate PIDs in the search results. And it will give you more options to choose from for the same result. It could help you potentially avoid having to do too many frame advances in game. Now the search has started. Just going to wait for a bit. It should take around 22 seconds. And the search has ended with 21 results, which were all collected into this file. So now you can close the app and see that in the same folder you have a new profile.txt and a new results.txt with a recap of your search parameters. So let's open this result file. And you can see that there's some pretty cool things here, like a Milotic. So this is how the results present themselves. You have the RNG state, or just the seed for short, which you will find the Pokemon on. You have the PID of the Pokemon, its level, which will not be its final level. Once you catch it, it will usually be level 100 because the experience is usually very big. You have, of course, the species name, its form ID, which could be used, for example, to differentiate Arceus or Unknown. You have the item it is holding. If it's not a glitched item, you will have the name, like Revive or something. You have the ability, same thing. Next is the hatch steps. If it's 0, that means this Pokemon is not an egg. And if it's anything else, it means that it will be an egg. You can hatch it and get rid of its glitch moves, which are here, pretty quickly from the daycare by just biking around. It can also have the Fateful Encounter flag, which is a 1 in 2 chance. Same thing as the egg. There it will say shiny if the Pokemon is shiny, depending on your TID, SID and the PID of the Pokemon. I also print out the IVs and the moves. If you're planning on doing the glitch on console, you'll have to download 3 other applications to help you with the RNG manipulation. The first is Reverse Seed, which you'll find on my GitHub. The second is Pokefinder from Admiral Fish's GitHub. And the third is Eon Timer, which I also backed up on my GitHub. Once the search is done, pick the seed of a result you like and run it through Reverse Seed. It'll give you the actual seed to hit on console and the amount of frame advances needed to reach the state of the result you picked. Open Pokefinder, go to Gen 4 Tools, then Seed to Time, enter the seed that Reverse Seed gave you, and click Generate to see the available date and time options for your seed. Now here's the tricky part, since we don't know how to manipulate a specific ASLR with the RNG yet. Assuming you don't fiddle with your buttons, touchscreen and microphone inputs while the game loads in each attempt, the ASLR will be the same every time for a given date and time option. You just have to go through the whole list until you find a date and time option for which the ASLR will also be the one you're looking for. I'm not going to teach you how to RNG manipulate for static Pokemon in Gen 4, by the way. You've got Blisy for that. Okay, so let's say you hit the correct seed in game, you've done the correct number of frame advances, and now you launch the battle. Several things can happen here, depending on if you also hit the correct ASLR or not. Situation 1. The battle starts, but does not progress past the black loading screen. Pick another date and time option from your list. Situation 2. The battle starts, loads properly, but you do not see your target show up. Same thing, choose another setup. Situation 3. The battle starts, loads properly, and you see your target appear, but the game crashes before the battle menu shows up. That means you've encountered an invalid mirror ASLR to the one you're hoping for. Choose another setup. Situation 4. The status of the wild gets updated before you're able to throw a ball. This is a very rare occurrence, but it will cause the wild to become a bad egg once caught. This has nothing to do with ASLR, but with the target itself. Discard it and pick another one. Finally, if the game doesn't freeze, doesn't crash, and your target shows up, congratulations! Do not look at your moves or your party, but go straight into your bag, throw your Master Ball and catch this monstrosity. Give your new Pokemon a nickname in order to set a proper terminator in its name. Side effects include a 1 in 2 chance of getting the Fateful Encounter flag, which is shown in the results. You could get a Shaymin in Platinum with the flag active and get the Gracidia in Floaroma to change it into Skyform. You also have a 1 in 2 chance of getting Pokerus, which currently isn't shown in the results. Also, the Pokemon you catch will be permanently decrypted, We'll see what that means later. Note that you cannot trade it unless it was an egg that you hatched and put in the daycare to get rid of its glitch moves by backing around. On Nintendo DS and DS Lite, a crash may occur before the battle menu appears, when some glitch items are held by the corrupt wild Pokémon. The item index is read out of the intended array, and since RAM is different depending on language and version, the probability of crashing may vary. It's around 30% on English Pearl. On Nintendo DSi, 3DS and 2DS, this crash cannot occur because these models have what's called extended main memory. Therefore, I highly recommend performing the glitch on these systems.
And so that's funny. So there's Japanese. Oh, we got a Manaphy. All right, probably shouldn't crash. I hope it doesn't crash. It might crash. I don't know. We got a fight menu. Yo. It could crash as this battle closes. It's the egg. Why does the Manaphy have a gender? It didn't crash! Yo! I don't have the Manaphy with me. So, the Manaphy is going to be an egg. I think. Yep. It's still got the nickname. Alright, hatch time. Alright. It seems like it hatched totally fine. No. Do not want to save because I'm going to trade it after it. Oh, and it hatches with the right ability.
You can perform battle corruption on emulator without having to worry about the Pomek glitch or the RNG and ASLR manipulation, thanks to a Lua script I created for the Desmume emulator. Just like Motor's executable, download motor.lua from the release page on my GitHub. Okay, so now let me show you how one would use motor.lua with Desmume 0.9.11. We've got the results from earlier, and let's launch the Lua script. So this is how it presents itself. You have the ASLR. You can see that it does not match what we have currently. So let's click Edit and change this value, which will automatically search for a specific ASLR. So we can copy this one and put it here, save, and it will reset the emulator by itself until it finds the correct ASLR. It's a 1 in 65 chance to find the correct ASLR with each reset. Okay, so it just found the ASLR. Now let's speed it up a little and create a save state. You can see that my TID and SID are the same as the one I entered for the results, but you can also set them with the Lua. For example, if you want 0 as your TID, you save here, and you can press 3 to set your TID and SID. But I don't want 0, so I'll put 21025 back. There's also at the bottom a bunch of garbage data for the moment, but it will actually be the data of the wild Pokemon once we launch the battle. I can also switch between modes with 0, so you can see current mode is decrypted battle data, so this is the Pokemon you send out, and this is the wild Pokemon, and also a mode where the bottom screen is clear. You can also see the current seed and the distance from the current seed in the RNG. My party is entirely composed of eggs and a fainted Abra. This Abra has synchronized. I made sure that it is not in the first slot of the party, or else it would mess up the RNG. And now we are ready to initiate a battle. So let's just show you what initiate a battle in this current state would do. I have no idea where the RNG is. And as you can see, this is an infinite black loading screen, which is the majority of results you'll get when you randomly do battle corruption. Now let's go back to the save state and choose a proper result. Let's say I want to get a Leafeon. I just copy this seed and paste it as the user seed in the Lua. Save. My seed has changed, but the distance is not a 0, so this will not result in a Leafeon. Let's press 5 to set the distance to 0. And now I know that the Pokemon I will encounter will be this Leafeon, because my TID, SID, ASLR, current RNG state, and French Diamond is correct. So all the parameters are correct for this Shaymin to turn into a Leafeon. And as you can see, we were successful. The battle menu showed up properly. And we can just throw our Master Ball. As you can see, it turned into an egg, as the result file predicted. It says 53,000 steps, so that means it's an egg. If it had been 0, it would not have been an egg, and you can see it on the Pokédex entry. You don't need to give a nickname to an egg, but let's do it for good measure, because why not? So the Pokemon was sent to my PC, and we returned back to the overworld as if nothing had happened, and we just caught a regular Shaymin. You can see that Shaymin is actually gone. If we refresh the area, there is no Shaymin, so it's a one-time event. But if you want to reuse Battle Corruption infinitely, you can use Arceus, although the pool of results is fixed. Let's now teleport. Go check out our Leafeon. Let's put it in the first slot of the party. Get rid of my other eggs. And now I'm just going to bike around until the egg hatches. Okay, I lied. I'm not going to bike around until the egg... well, I'm going to do it, but not for 53,000 steps. So let's just go into the memory editor, the RAM viewer, and go see our Lithion. So this is where it should be. There's Lithion, and you can see that it is entirely decrypted in RAM. You can see a bunch of FFF. So this would be, this should be encrypted, but with the way battle corruption works, you can clearly read its data. So for example, this is its name with the Terminator. Well, this is my name with the Terminator, MAP Terminator. Map. Which is the trainer name. And if I remember correctly, the amount of steps will update if I walk 255 steps. Well, to be exact, the X cycle will update. Okay, so you saw it here. So CFCE. CE is the X cycle. So let's just put CFOO and hatch the egg now. Should take less than 255 steps now. So this is just one of the perks of having the Pokemon completely decrypted. You can edit it in RAM and do cool stuff like this. So it's about to hatch. And there's our Lithion with its correct name. And you can now give it a second nickname if you want, but I'm just going to say no. Okay, let's turn off, let's stop the lure and just check it out in the party. It's level 1. And I'm going to save first. If you're doing this on console, usually watching it straight away will crash the game. Desmume manages to not crash somehow, but if you want to see its summary on console, you just go check out a first Pokemon which loads the overlay properly, and then you can switch to your Pokemon. So as you can see, it has Pokerus, also random markers. No item. If it had an item and was converted into an egg, its item will disappear, which is a bummer. And you can see it was encountered in Flower Paradise, hatched in Eterna, rencontré par hasard means fateful encounter, which is also correct. It has the fateful encounter flag. And these are its moves, which will definitely crash the game if you want to see them on console. But Desmume somehow also manages to handle them. So if you want to get rid of them, you can go to the daycare and bike around until Leafeon gains enough levels to learn proper moves. Well, the first 4 will be enough to get rid of all 4 glitch moves. Okay, now let's see a little bit more of the Lua script in action. Let's go back to the save state. And let's check out a Pokemon that is not an egg. So I have here a Milotic. So let's pick this seed, paste it here, save, and press 5 to jump to the current state. Initiate the battle. And I'm going to stop right there in the loading screen, so you can see actually this is Milotic. You can see that it's a regular Pokemon, not a bad egg. This is its block order, A, B, C, and D. Yeah, and C, D, B, A is the correct block order. So A is species, it starts with species, and 015E in hexadecimal is Milotic. Let's switch while it's loading to the decrypted live battle view, and this is the item it's holding. This is the species once again. I think we are viewing it in Little Engine. Here you can see the bad egg that we are sending, which is the species 01EE. And yeah, let's just catch this Milotic. If I look at the actual HP, so this is the current HP and this is the max HP of this Milotic, and it looks like I can throw a regular Pokeball and it will act like a Master Ball. So now you can see that this is a regular Milotic, not an egg. And let's give it a proper nickname. We're back to the overworld, and now let's go back to Eterna. And check it out in the PC. So the issue with Pokemon that aren't eggs is that you cannot get rid of their glitch moves. You can only use them to complete your Pokédex or to make eggs with them, but you can't really use them in battle or trade them or anything. It was also a fateful encounter, you can see, and the level is always capped at 100 if the experience is too big. You can see that it has an invalid ability, which is CF, and it doesn't show anything for it, but it loads fine on the status overlay. And you can see that if we put it in the party, and yeah, this is what will normally happen if you watch a Glitch Pokemon summary. You will crash when doing the next encounter. And this is also what happens on console when you try to do battle corruption with regular wild encounters instead of a static Pokemon like Shaymin. I do not know why exactly. It would have led to more possible results, of course, but so far this is an unknown. And there it is, the big brain stuff you've all been waiting for. Honestly, I learned so much with this project, not just about the game, but also how dope C and ARM assembly programming really is. Let's take a look at what really goes on under the hood. Here's a simplified version of the piece of code responsible for all the mayhem that ensues as a result of having 6 fainted Pokémon. At the beginning of the fight, the game needs to pick the first available Pokémon to fight for the player. It thus runs a for loop with an upper limit equal to the number of Pokémon in the party, which is 6, until it finds a Pokémon that is neither an invalid species, an egg, or fainted. But, as you know by now, we put ourselves in a situation where none of our Pokémon can satisfy this if statement, and so we never break out of the for loop. We exit it with I equal to 6, which corresponds to a new 7th Pokémon. As pointed out by Retire, if Game Freak had put the upper limit to 5 even in the case where we have 6 Pokémon, all of this could have been prevented, since we would have just sent out our fainted 6th Pokémon. Since we obviously don't have a 7th Pokémon, what kind of data will be interpreted as such? The answer lies in the layout of the party structures in memory. There are 4 of them, all juxtaposed and ordered like this: Player Party, Opponent 1 Party, Ally Party, and Opponent 2 Party. Opponent 1 Party is the wild Pokémon's party in our case. Each party structure starts with a 40 byte long header comprised of 4 bytes to indicate if the block is used or not, 4 bytes for the size of the block, 4 bytes for the address of the previous block, 4 bytes for the address of the next block, 16 unused bytes which are leftover overworld graphical data in this part of RAM, 4 bytes for the maximum size of a party, which is always 6, and 4 bytes for the current size of the party, which is between 1 and 6. Following this header are the 6 Pokémon. Each Pokémon is 236 bytes, laid out as follows: 4 bytes for the PID, 2 bits for the fast mode flags, 1 bit for the bad egg flag, 13 padding bits, 2 bytes for the checksum, 4 times 32 bytes of ABCD block data encrypted with the checksum, and 100 bytes of condition data encrypted with the PID. The ABCD blocks are randomly shuffled according to the PID and this formula, which results in an index for a lookup table that gives the position of each block. Okay, back to this 7th Pokémon of ours. Where could it be? The answer should be obvious now if you know how C operates. Since there is no bounds check on arrays, the data right after our 6th Pokémon will be read as our 7th Pokémon. And that means the Opponent 1 party header and parts of the Opponent 1 Pokémon 1 will be interpreted as a Pokémon. Okay, but just reading this data shouldn't be corrupting the wild, right? Correct, and this is where encryption comes in. The encryption process uses the same linear congruential generator as the main RNG. It is seeded with either the checksum for ABCD block data or the PID for condition data, and XORs the 16 most significant bits with each 16-bit word of the stream of data to be encrypted, while advancing this local RNG after each word. Before it is sent to the battle server, a Pokémon's data needs to be validated. Each 16-bit word of ABCD block data is added into a single 16-bit value, which becomes a temporary checksum. If this temporary checksum is not equal to the current checksum of the Pokémon, which is 0 in our case, its bad egg flag is turned on and its data is re-encrypted with the current checksum. And this is where the corruption happens, in the form of a buffer overflow. At this stage, we can already look for some things. Firstly, Is the ball ID of 7, which is a random unsigned 8-bit integer, in the 0 to 19 range? If not, the game will get stuck in the infinite black loading screen I showed you earlier. If you do some hardcore math, you can see that you have no more than an 8% chance of loading into the battle. Secondly, is the first move of 7, which is a random unsigned 16-bit integer, in the 0 to 470 range. If not, the game will crash just before showing you the battle menu, breaking your heart after seeing that gorgeous mana fee show up. The probability of making it past this crash is around 0.7%. Okay, but that was just something we could sample in advance. We're not actually in the battle yet. There's still some more corruption to do. Mainly, the temporary checksum of 7 replaces its old checksum, and the data of 7 is re-encrypted with this new checksum as the seed. And ultimately, we can check some final values. First, the heap ID of opponent 1 party. It's in block A of 7, and if it's smaller than the constant for heap max, aka 92, the game will crash when trying to free the party data as you return to the overworld. We can also check for party count, which is a 32-bit signed integer. If it's greater than 54, the game will crash just before bringing up the battle menu. Finally, if the bad egg bit is set and the fast mode bits of the wild are not set, they are responsible for it being permanently decrypted, you can disregard this Pokémon since bad eggs crash on Dex entry and are completely useless anyway. The rest of the data that we care about, like species, held item, moves, etc., can be read at a glance, but they're probably not in the same location as when the wild was first generated, since its PID got corrupted, implying that the ABCD blocks are most likely in a different permutation. But why does the data of the new corrupt wild Pokémon depend on the state of the RNG, our TID and SID, the version and language of our game, and the ASLR of all things? Well, if you recall from earlier, there are 2 addresses in the header of the opponent's party, and in this part of RAM they rely on ASLR. The state of the RNG is important because it determines the wild's PID and thus its nature, IVs and stats. As for our TID and SID, they are copied straight into the wild's data to immediately make us their original trainer, even before it's been caught. Same goes for language and version. And that should be all. If you want to learn more, I suggest taking a look at Motor's source code, which is freely available on my GitHub. You can also peek into Diamond, Pearl and Platinum's source code, but you did not hear that from me. As a little bit of history, battle corruption was originally found on emulator by Buglitch back in March of 2018. In January of 2019, Retire confirmed that battle corruption could happen on console when you battled with a partner. In March of 2020, we started seriously researching the glitch, and on the 18th of the same month, I found a Meditite on Rotom in Platinum and published the first video of an actual valid species change. Come November, and I start developing Motor, first in Python to quickly try to simulate what the game was doing, and then in C for the massive control and performance boosts. The first usable version of the application was released on the 11th of June 2021. After a lot of debugging, the first completed battle corruption glitch on console was done by Blisy on the 8th of November as he caught and hatched a Manaphy. As of January 2022, version 1.4.0 of Motor is out and completely console-proof. In spite of all my efforts, there are still some things I do not know yet. Why are there only 5 ASLRs that work on international releases when all 65 of them work on the Japanese version? Why does Drifloon, which is a static encounter, always crash in the overworld before the battle even starts? Why regular wild encounters behave the same, but work fine with a partner? Is there a way to get a full fainted party in Pokémon Heart Gold and Soul Silver and the other international releases of Platinum without the Buglitch in order to perform battle corruption there? Before I go, I wanted to thank all of the people involved in this crazy 4-year ride. So here goes a very special thank you to Retire, Mart, Fleder, Blisy, Casual Pokeplayer, and to all of the researchers and console testers from the Void Matrix Discord server. Thank you also to Bulbapedia for the numerous resources, et enfin, l'équipe de PRAMA Initiative pour la publication de l'article sur le site très bientôt.
Now, leading the world of battle corruption.